going to discuss how we deliver consulting services digitally, okay? And so this is more than just tools. And so as Mohammed had mentioned, it's also about building trust, right? It's building trust with clients so that they know they're working with a legitimate organization, with qualified individuals, even though they're doing so in a digital way. And then looking back at Rob's presentation about enterprise architecture, this is actually one of the core areas in digital transformation research around the architecture of the enterprise. So Zhuji and Wang had done some research into this. And then we also see dynamic capabilities, which is closely related to architecture, become a really important part of how organizations do that. Reason why I mention this is because, you know, we're often in the position of giving advice to clients. But in 2020, many of us found we had to take our own medicine, right? We talked digital transformation. We actually needed to digitally transform as consulting firms and how we provide services. And so what I'm going to describe is how we did that. So if you think about strategy, road mapping, and planning traditionally done in a room, done with whiteboards, you have an executive or a senior leadership team, and you're walking them through various frameworks or models to help them structure their thinking around where they are versus where they want to be and how they're going to get there. I lead a digital advisory services practice at Online Business Systems in Canada, the United States, and EMEA over in Europe and some of the zones over there. And one of the things that we first did was like, hey, well, how do we take a very traditional sort of approach to strategic planning and actually digitize that? And so we decided at that point in time that we were going to, because we had no choice, we were going to do our services digitally. And so we moved a lot of the services that we designed in 2019 into digital formats, which was the first thing that we did, the first step. And then we focused on optimizing them. And so we use digital tools like Miro, for example. This is used to structure our workshops where people can come in to a digital whiteboard and they're able to participate more effectively, in my opinion, than they would be in a physical room with colleagues. And so we use Miro, and it allows us to deliver our workshops anywhere. And so we have done, you know, very broad and heavy lifting in terms of strategies and roadmaps with clients. We've done that with digital tools for the past 3 years approximately. And we've been able to do that successfully. We've been able to build trust. We've been able to get the teams in our client organizations to work together in a completely digital environment without any face-to-face interaction. Now you might question, like, how do you build trust? How do you build relationships? Our culture at Online Business Systems, where you know, like people perceive, I think most Canadians, we're pretty easy to get along with. We have a very positive can-do attitude. And so we really emphasize and leverage that strength of our culture in our organization to convey that connection and invite that relationship to build trust as we're going through this. Now, getting into the detail of things, and so Bob had talked about enterprise architecture, and he mentioned a tool called Archimate. You know, we use Archimate to document the architecture of the current state, for example, and Archimate allows us to do that, again, in a context where we don't have to physically be in the same room. We can have a shared Archimate sort of instance, and we can be collaborating on the client's, you know, architecture of their strategy. We can be collaborating with them digitally using the Archimate tool. And that allows us, again, to provide an artifact. So Bob had also mentioned we don't want to be using tools owned by the consulting firm. You want to be owning that architecture that you're developing. And so we're able to kind of, you know, work in the same sandbox and build the enterprise architecture with the client, at the same time doing so collaboratively, asynchronously, but having the client you know, have the knowledge and have the tools and techniques available to support the execution of that architecture, which supports the execution of their digital strategies and transformations. And so that's some of what we did. What's funny is that when you look at the digital transformation literature, all of this applies to consulting, right? Like, what's our digital business strategy in consulting, right? So Mythos in 2010, it talked about digital business strategy, which is the integration of traditional strategy with technology strategy, more of an operational function coming into an enterprise strategy context. And how are you going to actually realize that? And so what we found was that, you know, in consulting, that competitive differentiation through how we deliver services is becoming more important. It allows us to deliver workshops in Europe, which usually means really early mornings, for example, if we're doing this. It allows us to deliver workshops in the United States, and it allows us to deliver workshops in Canada. And if you know Canada, we're a very big country with a lot of our cities spread far apart. And so for us to travel in Canada, it can take like 5 hours to go from one end of the country only halfway through the country by airplane. And so a lot of our digitization of our services has enabled us to do these things with greater efficiency, without the barrier of travel costs, and really still build trust and build relationships with those clients. And so that's some of what we've done in digital transformation in our organization when we digitized our consulting services. But it also introduces challenges, right? When we become a digital first consulting services organization, how do we manage a team? So like we were talking about with Hadi and the crew, like how do you manage a team? How do you create that knowledge sharing? How do you take knowledge from our practitioners into our client organizations and build that capability for them to support the value that we create with them during our engagements? These are things that we're still figuring out. I think a lot of organizations are. In consulting, it's really important, as we'll talk about in a moment, when it comes to knowledge management. Some very, very, very important questions that we still have to answer. But we are digital first in terms of our service delivery. It has helped improve our efficiency. It has helped improve and introduce us into brand new markets. And so we've seen very good success, and we've been able to acquire some really exceptional clients and have the privilege of earning their trust, despite having never met them in real life. And these are people I feel like I know when I work with our clients. So that's a little bit about our journey. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have regarding what I've just shared or digital transformation in general. And then I believe we'll move on to Stephen next. So when we're doing digital strategies and roadmaps, one of the things that take a lot of time is prioritization of initiatives and how we're going to actually structure the roadmap in terms of sequencing, and a lot of conversation and a lot of time and negotiation and things. We have a tool that we developed internally at our company that we use, where it uses forced ranking in a digital tool that allows us to have before the workshop with the tool, we frame all the different options. We put them inside the tool, and everyone's forced to prioritize pair against pair. So this versus that. And you do this through all the iterations of the different options available. And through this comes out a ranking of the true prioritization. And that takes something that would normally take a day or two of workshops. It takes it down to 1 hour. And so we're able to, well, maybe a couple hours, like we'll say 3 hours all in, okay? So it allows us to really significantly accelerate the cadence of prioritization and decision-making. And that's not digital transformation of consulting. That's us just using a digital tool to increase the cadence at which we can deliver value to clients. So at Online Business Systems, that's a tool that we intend to start using and that we have used internally for our own planning purposes that we see value in the client context for.
Yes, very interesting. Do you have any concrete experience with regard to data safety, data security? Because I think you mentioned it, or that is crucial. It's critical.
Very important. Yeah, so we have a division that focuses on cyber security, risk security, and privacy. Very important topic as we talk about digitizing consulting services. We're digitizing the conversations and the information that we share. Whether you're an independent who works alone or you're in a medium-sized or a large consulting firm, cybersecurity should be a topic you are keeping in mind. If you imagine, client information getting stolen or becoming inaccessible, the confidentiality issues, the code of conduct impacts that we have as certified management consultants to protect that information. Very important that if you're digitizing your consulting services, cybersecurity is a big consideration for you, or you may find yourself in a situation where you've exposed competitively sensitive information to the public, which puts at risk your client and your professional obligations as a certified management consultant. Yeah.
But how do you deal with that, for example, with Miro? is there a special approach, a special way of working, or is it just a technical question?
It's really making sure you've configured it before you use it so that it is secure itself. Most cybersecurity events occur not because of technology being breached, because people fail to close a digital window or a digital door, which allows, in Canada, we get lots of mosquitoes or black flies. It allows lots of insects and things that don't belong in the house, inside the house. And so when you're configuring Miro, for example, for your workshop, making sure that it is, by invite only, that those with the link have access to it, and that you remove that access when it is no longer required. Those are the important things that we do. And then when you're using Teams or using Zoom, making sure that there's protection on passwords and things like that. Very important. And then the usual things: never click on links that you receive in emails from unknown senders, or even known senders. You may want to verify that that person sent you a link, because they can fake these types of things, including clients. So be very mindful of those things. But yes, configuration is the first step to protecting yourself and your clients when you're using a tool like Miro, making sure it's configured securely.